growing up, you always grow. Well, I wouldn't say we, but I know a lot of people dealt with this, but essentially, you always groomed to be a certain way, whether it's the way you dress, the way you spoke, the way you whatever hairstyle you had, mannerisms, etc., etc. But I always told, like, one thing that was always repeated was be yourself, and yet when you were yourself, there was just restrictions as to how much of yourself you could actually be. It was weirdly contradictory, but essentially, you only accepted if you conformed to the certain standard that was already set, which I don't really agree with. A small example, and maybe even a petty example, at least from what I experienced, was in school we had to wear uniforms and shit, right there. And well, primary school and high school we had to wear uniforms, and with every rules essentially in the way we could dress, right, and the way we could what hairstyles we could have essentially, right. With high school, it was at least the school I went to, it's a bit more looser, but at least from what I've seen from other schools, at least the school that my friend went to, my one friend, the high school he went to, you couldn't really have long hair. Once you had long hair, you had to basically cut it off. Once it got to a certain length, you just had to cut it shorter, just like short. I thought that was, I found that really strange. Amongst the older generation, it seems to be that you had to conform and be a certain archetype to be successful, essentially, or at least society. In terms of society, fuck, is that the right word? At least to society, you had to be acceptable. You couldn't really be yourself. And I see online now that people are starting to be more expressive. One way is just clothes, right? But I'll get to that in a later point. But people are starting to be more expressive online, and it's great to see that nowadays you're allowed to actually express yourself a bit more and just be who you are. Because growing up, at least for me, there was just this heavy focus on being exactly like the successful person. And the successful person was exactly like how they wanted you to be. And I didn't always agree with that. I'm not a rebel in any way, of course. Like I'm not. I mean, yeah, maybe a different time. But yeah, I'm not a rebel or anything. But I just don't really agree with all of that. I hate to be put in a box where I'm basically supposed to be like everyone else. So I was buying clothes. I was ordering clothes online since it's Black Friday. This is Black Friday week. There's a lot of prices off and shit. I was ordering clothes online. And I showed my mother this, right? Now the older generation, it was mostly the older generation who perpetuated these ideas of conforming and being a certain archetype and basically grooming us, which are the younger generation, essentially, right? We were being groomed by the older generation to be that archetype, right? Cool, cool, cool. Now I showed my mother the clothes, and she made some criticisms. in terms of the way I like dress, right? Now, in terms of me, I look at clothing as a form of self-expression. Well, of sorts, but not necessarily something that's crazy important to me. But I want to look good. I want to look a certain way. I want to be myself. Unapologetic. I want to unapologetically be myself, essentially. I don't want to have any stigma in terms of, oh, he's not this, he's not that. No, I just want to be me and shit. And she basically said she recommended shit that I should get in a way that I should dress. And she basically said I need to dress more mature. Now I don't dress like a child, but I dress exactly the way I want to dress. I dress essentially the way I want to dress. And this is no slight towards my mother or anything, right? It's no slight towards my mother. I love my mom, and she's not a bad person or anything. I know some people have horrible parents, but she's not a bad person or anything. But it's just like, huh, being different is just at least a few, say, decades ago. Being different was kind of like a bad thing, kind of like a crime, I guess. It's amazing how far we've come, but it still really plays. It still plays society now. I have another story, I guess, and it's an actual story this time. So it seems I'm gonna try and make this quick because when I tried to record it, it didn't come out as quick as possible. But essentially, after my first job, my dad knew this guy that had a company, a recruitment company, and he basically spoke to this guy and told me I have an interview with this guy. He spoke to him to see if I can maybe work there at his recruitment company. Went to the interview, and this guy straight up told me first thing, I have the job. I can basically choose where I want to work. Like he had like three different departments. It was a very small company. Like you can see, it's like a startup type of company. It's a startup type of company. Very pyramid scheme type of company, but it's a startup. Looking back at it, I'm kind of glad I didn't work. But anyways. I mean, I guess the story was gonna go there, but anyways, got the interview, and I used to have long hair, right? I used to have locks and shit. But my locks weren't that long at that time. It wasn't that long. At that time, my locks was I don't have them anymore, but my locks were let's say like mouth to in between my lips and nose. I don't know, fuck. It was like that long, I guess. But essentially, I went to this interview dressed exactly the right way, shirt and tie, shirt and work shoes, like the fucking pointer shoes, chino pants and all of that shit, right? Came to the interview, told me I had the job. I could basically just choose where specifically I want to work, right? Even though I had like qualifications in a certain area, I wanted to go another area. And so I said, whatever area. But he was making slight remarks about my hair and shit. Now my hair was retwisted and like I had basically a protective style, like braids and shit, right? So I was looking presentable and shit. And he made like comments about my hair and shit. And I had the feeling that You was part of that generation where you had to have like short hair to be quote unquote presentable. Okay, cool. After the interview is done, he basically told me I had the job. He's gonna send over the contract. So he told me to come 2 days later to start my first day. He didn't send the contract. I still came 2 days later, right? And I came, I was early as shit. I think I was the first fucking person there. And I was early as shit. Fuck. Why am I losing my memory now? I was early as shit. I came there for my first day, cool, boom, boom, boom. And then he basically told me, look, I didn't send you the contract over yet. Even though he told me come in for that day. But he didn't send the contract, so he said, cool, I need to talk to my team on whether or not they want a new team member. It's just weird as shit because he's the boss. Why does he need to speak to his team? And then I found out by the time I got home, I found out he told my dad. Because that's my dad's friend, right? Well, friend at the time. Basically told my dad he thinks that I'm on drugs and all of this shit. And my mom, I was probably a bit more naive to it. But my mom basically caught that he profiled me because of my hair. And I'm not gonna lie, skin tone as well. Most likely. He was one of those, I don't know if it's relevant, but he was an Israeli guy that foreign to the country at the time. He's basically, he's a, I don't even know if he has citizenship. Maybe, yeah, he's an immigrant. He has a company this side, and he essentially profiled me and shit. Once you get to the real world, at least in adulthood, self-expression is more so punished. Like, you hear all the time, be yourself. And yet, once you are yourself, once you are exactly who you want to be, or at least getting closer to who you want to be, more times than not, you're punished for it. And that's crazy. As time passes, things will change more and more. But yeah,